Welcome back. You're now watching the political segment on The Weekend Show. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has finally announced his nominee to be the next chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The word independence is the first word when you hear about INEC. Most Nigerians have questioned the selection process of the INEC chairman and how does this affect the results of the elections. In a country where we had the 2023 elections, which was largely contested and in some cases some people called it controversial because of how long drawn out it was in the courts and also with faults from the IREV portal, which INEC had promised would work, especially after being given a huge budget to make this happen. Now, Professor Joash Amupitan, Deputy Vice Chancellor of University of Jos, a legal practitioner and a senior advocate of Nigeria, has been nominated. How much cleaning up does he have to do? How much confidence do the people have in the system? And how does this affect the next couple of elections we will be having in Nigeria? Joining me to have this exclusive conversation, I have in the studio former Youth and Sports Minister, a lawyer, an academic, an activist, and a politician. Former Minister, His Excellency, Solomon Dalung. Welcome back on The Weekend Show, sir.
Thank you very much. And good morning, Nigerians.
Minister, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts about the nomination of Professor Joash Amupitan as the next INEC chairman?
Professor Josh Amupitan is not a new person to me. He was my teacher in the University of Jos between 1991 to 1999 because I belong to the generation of the unfortunate Nigerians who studied law for 9 years instead of 5. And we had a very fantastic donation of 4 years as a result of ASU strike. And, when I returned back to the faculty again in 2004 as a lecturer, he was my colleague. He was also my head of department, and he later became my dean. So Josh Amupitan is somebody I know closely, and we've been able to maintain a very good relationship with him, even when I left the university. As a person, he's a very fantastic and a wonderful personality. A man who believes in doing things right and getting them right. And I enjoyed working with him. Now that he has been appointed INEC chairman, or nominated INEC chairman, subject to Senate confirmation, I don't envy Professor Josh Amupitan because his appointment is synonymous to inviting an angel from heaven to come and dance in the mud. And thereafter, you are inspecting his cloth to see how clean it will be. And so, he's having ahead of him a Herculean challenge of presiding over an institution that has a battered relationship. INEC has lost its credibility to the extent that in Nigeria and in northern Nigeria, local musicians sing with INEC as an albatross. That's how bad it is with the image of INEC. So, coming in at this time, appointed by the president, 2027 elections ahead. Of course, he has the challenges of first navigating the institution of INEC to understand. He has also elections very close at the corner. So what he's going to bring to bear will be a deployment of honest intention, love, and patriotism for the country and democracy. And this will be the only weapon that will designate his legacies in posterity when he will live there. But anything short of what I have mentioned I do not expect him to perform miracles, because if a winch appoints a priest to preside over Holy Communion, of course, the only thing that should be expected is that the communicants should recite their last wills, because those who will survive it will be few. So this is what I would say so far.
So, Minister, are you saying he who pays the piper dictates the tune, in summary, with your which analogy and communicants?
Yes, George Amopitan has to choose between who Nigerians will remember and his appointment. I always give an example of myself. When I was appointed a Minister of Youth and Sports, I told myself, in my life, I have never held any appointment beyond one term. Now, when I was a chairman of a local government, the day I took oath of office, I told myself, I'm going to be sacked. Because I'm not going to do what will please the person who appointed me, but I'm going to do what is right. And when I was appointed a minister, I convinced myself that I was not going to stay here beyond the time that God would want me to be here. And I don't think I'm coming back here again. And that was why I danced and trampled on very big toes. And as they were crying, I was jumping. So Amopitan has a choice. If he wants to be remembered positively, he must go in there with the mind of even going to be sacked before the end of his tenure. But he's going to leave foundations that Nigerians will always remember him. But if he's going there to look back at how he came to be INEC chairman, then it is not yet Uhuru for Nigerians.
Okay, before I go to Chief Peter Ame, on the 27th of July, you had said that APC's, in the Guardian Nigeria, that APC's implosion is imminent, and ADC is ready to welcome defectors and take over Nigeria. Do you still believe this?
Yes, what I actually was putting forward to Nigerians is that the way the political landscape is skewed now with the defections going on, because the only thing now that is happening in the politics of Nigeria is defection into a one-party system and endorsement. We have endorsement going on, organizations, women, political parties. Very soon, vigilantes will be making endorsement. We will also have clergies and priests, since there are SUVs now rolling out to the priests and the clergies. They will also start their own gale of endorsement, and we will advance from there. Maybe possibly we'll end up with INEC even endorsing a sole candidate. But what I was putting forward is that 2027 is about we and them. There's going to be only two political positions. The Nigerian people who have been impoverished by harsh economic policies and taxation will be on one side with their sympathizers. Political parties are not going to be the issue in 2027, no. Nigerians will be interested in slugging out with those who have congregated on the other side against them. So whichever vehicle offered the accommodation with the right leadership, that's what Nigerians are going to swing to. But all of us are going to be involved in collection of APC money. In fact, more people are going to defect to APC because there is money there to share. That's where, if you belong, you can be sure of paying your bills. So I want to remind us, Nigerians forget history easily. When Abacha was being endorsed by the political parties, the CNC, led by Gamede, was the only party left out. And then later, he now endorsed Abacha. So the journalist asked him, why do you now suddenly, a party that represents the people of Nigeria and the aspiration in opposition endorsing Abacha. And he said, well, if endorsing Abacha is what will give us justice, we have also decided to join. So many Nigerians are going to join this endorsement. But it's for them to have access to the money that is not used for development, but is being shared. You can see the national chairman now visiting churches and donating 20 million, 30, 50 million to churches. Now, the national chairman of APC was a civil servant, INEC commissioner. And then he contested the governorship of Plateau and lost, was appointed a minister. I don't know whether it has been changed. The salary of a minister in Nigeria is 840,000. That was what I collected for 4 years. So, if somebody with a salary of 840,000, who has been a minister for less than a year or a year plus, and is now donating millions to churches after being appointed acting chairman for 3 months, and people are collecting this money and singing hallelujah and thanking him without questioning the source, it will tell you that the money realized from the withdrawal of fuel subsidy, the money realized from the increase of electricity tariff, the money realized from the floating of the naira, the money realized from the increase of data and bank charges, and the over close to 60 trillion naira loan obtained between 2023 to now is all meant for this type of things. Therefore, 2027 is a watershed in Nigerian history.
With the picture you've painted, it makes me wonder if should people still be bothered about going to vote? Should people, do the votes still count? With the allegations of monies moving around, which can be corroborated with what we can see in the public domain, do you think with ADC or with any party, there can be any change in 2027? Or is this a fight for the future?
No, Nigerians should go out en masse and register and arm themselves with their PVC. But they should not be very rigid in assessing where they are gathering to share their wealth. They shouldn't be rigid about it. They should only be rigid on the day of election.
So they should collect whatever they want, but vote for who their conscience.
Yes, they should make themselves available to all the sharing points. But warn themselves that the only duty they owe this country is that on the day of the election, they will exercise their right in favor of the future. Now, what guarantee do they have? Why must they vote? They must vote in 2027 and come out en masse to police the declaration of their votes. They must not allow people to gather in the collection center. Just after some time, they will go on break. Collection of results does not require going to break. It's not a university. They must ensure that nobody is allowed to leave that place. Because since I joined politics, I've never heard that coalition is suspended. No. Once you start coalition, you finish it. Nigerians must police that. Nigerians, the young people, must now behave like their colleagues, especially in Senegal. Senegal has given us a template. There was nothing President Mal didn't do in Senegal to truncate democracy. He did worse than what is happening in Nigeria now. But the people were determined to get democracy, and they got it. So it is the determination of Nigerians that will determine whether we are going to take a step forward as a country or we will need a reprisal.
Thank you. Minister, just as we sum this up, some people have said the president pulled a master stroke, getting someone from Kogi State. Now, for some of us who are from the middle belt of Nigeria, I find it a bit disappointing that only when elections come or power sharing, then the middle belt is seen as not central. And then it's like, oh, we've given this to these people, and so everybody can be fine. Do you think that's a bit of tokenism? And after answering that question, even though for those from the North Central or the Middle Belt, they feel having Professor Josh Amupitan is a benefit to the region. However, some people feel it's tokenism. But for you, just as we wrap up, it's almost 2027. Are you running for any office, and what's your advice to Nigerians as we enter this election season?
We see the peoples of the Middle Belt, historically, even before the advent of slavery, had remained at the receiving end. There's a published statistics by slave civilization indicating that the highest number of slaves taken from Nigeria were from the Middle Belt, because we are smaller nations. And so the bigger kingdoms read our ancestors, take them into slavery. And because we are smaller nations, we produce courageous and great men who were protecting their smaller communities. We were a very strong zone, even though divided into smaller communities. And so they found the people with the requisite survival instinct and charisma to take into slavery to the Americas and elsewhere. If it were not Middle Belters that were taken into slavery, majority of them would have died, they would not survive. So we have this survivalist instinct. And this, the Nigerian state, is maximizing it very well. When it is to go and fight the Second World War, they took the highest number of contingent from the Middle Belt. When it is time for the Civil War, they took the highest number of people who went and fought and died from the Middle Belt. And they have continued to recycle this. Ironically, at this stage where we are, they have even brainwashed our young people who don't have the knowledge of this history. And so they are dancing to their tune. The appointment of Josh Amopitan, the appointment of Nentawe, the appointment of George Akume is synonymous to an adage of Tarok people that a bad man is only needed when there is need to do dirty jobs. I have an adage in my place like that. So a bad man is never invited to any meeting, to any celebration. But the day that there is a dirty job to do, is the most qualified person. So President Tinubu, being a Machiavellian theoretician, in 2023 played the MasterCard of Muslim ticket. And he set up the Christian community in the north. So the Christians now saw it as a threat. And some of us were mobilized, we jumped into it. Oh, why would you do this? For me, I joined the campaign against the Muslim ticket because I felt that in a multicultural society, it was an insult on my psychology to say that the whole Christians in the north, none of them is qualified to occupy the office of the vice president. That was my own grouch. So he succeeded with it. After he succeeded, he now attacked the Muslim north that gave him the 5 million votes by embarking on this very nepotistic appointment. And the nepotism here is not even ethnic. It's a class nepotism. He appointed all those he has groomed within the cycle of his political structure, the Lagos boys, into key economic and strategic positions. And then he now knew that, okay, he will need these people of the Middle Belt to do a dirty job for him. So he picked a military position and gave them. And so the Middle Belters felt now that, oh, we are going to be secured because we have the military in our hands. And since that appointment, none of them have slept and closed his eyes. Even day before yesterday, in Plateau, Barakinladi, 5 kilometers away from Barakinladi town, people who went for a security meeting on their way back had the bandits opening fire on them, killing so many. Even commuters who were on the way were also killed.
Christians.
And they have the chief of defense staff who is a minority. Now, this chief of defense staff thing, they have gone around now to say the president loves the minorities. He has appointed a Christian. He has appointed one of you. Now, our people now are being who win. So the northern Christians sing the song of a Miloko more than even the Lagos boys who control the economy while they are dying of hunger and this thing. Now, that is the psychology, the average psychology of a middle belt. It doesn't have an agenda. So I've asked them, what is our agenda in 2027? If the Muslim North went into 2023 with an agenda, are we only just being recruited as supporters? So the appointment of Josh and Mupitan is part of this game plan. There are going to be more appointments too of people who will be needed to come and wing the northern Christians, drag them into this particular game so that the president will be re-elected. But the question I have asked my fellow Christians, because I want to join them. I joined them in 2023 because I'm a Christian to campaign. I want now to join them in this because I'm a member of a community. I belong to the Middle Belt community. To join them so that we can sing Tinubu's song. But let them answer this question very well. If I have the answer, I will join. Tinubu, a Muslim, played the card of Muslim ticket with his fellow Muslims in the north and betrayed them. They are still meeting in the mosque today. If we Christians join in 2027 and bring Tinubu and he betrayed us, where are we going to meet him? Anybody who provides the answer to this question is going to have me. I'm not going to contest.
To wrap up, sir, and these are very valid points both of you have raised, but just because of time, I want you to advise Nigerians on the 2027 elections.
Nigerians should participate actively. Right now, go out and obtain those who have no PVC, obtain their PVC. Participate actively in 2027 to determine their leaders. Go out and vote credible people whom they believe, they trust can move this country forward. If they do that, we, the revolutionary elements, will help them with mobilizing the structure to make sure that their voices determine who become leaders.